I want to thank our readers tonight who are joining us, some of them from far-flung time zones around the globe. Kelly, yes. And just really appreciate you being here to help us celebrate Martha. I also want to thank Tina. Oh, by the way, Jesus, you don't even know who I am. I'm Derek Sheffield. I should tell you that. And I'm one of the poetry editors for terrain.org. And I want to I want to thank Tina Schumann because Tina had this idea for a Zoom reading. There was a big in-person one in Seattle. It was like a huge traffic jam. People got really mad over it, but there was a big in-person event for Martha that some of us couldn't make. And then Tina had this idea for one on Zoom. So, and when I heard about it, I asked if we could um, do it through terrain.org, and Tina happily agreed. So I appreciate you, Tina. I appreciate your idea and your generosity. So thank you. And I want to thank Simmons Bunton, who is just the best. He's our editor in chief. He does so much at terrain.org, including the design, and he reads everything and just is the ultimate decision on everything. It's just amazing. And when I approached him with this idea, he was an immediate yes. I just I want to thank you, Simmons, for that, for letting us be here together tonight. And I'll start off with this story here. Years ago, I was at a conference, and the editor of Poetry Magazine at the time came up to me and he said, so this Martha Solano, she's one of yours over at terrain.org, right? I said, why, yes, she is. And he said, well, we've got our eye on her. And next thing you know it, by golly, Martha's poems are popping up in Poetry Magazine. You may have heard of the Colbert bump. Well, this is the terrain.org bump, baby. Okay. So next stop is the New Yorker. Hey, I'm talking to you, Kevin Young. Um, yeah, so that's a little story. Uh, it may be that editor had been reading the review of Martha's work in terrain.org, where Andy Gottlieb writes, there's a little bit of Allen Ginsberg here, a little bit of Tom Waits, and a lot of Ella Fitzgerald with her bright, clear voice, carrying above all of it, scattering along, asking indeed, how high the moon? Well, Martha, by this time, has, if my count is correct, it's 6 books of poetry, including this one we call ours. Now, I want to share my screen with you here because I want you to see this. My copy, I think, is still in the mail, but I wanted you to see what it looks like. I know I've heard from others that they are starting to get theirs now, but Martha's books tend to win prizes, and this most recent one is no exception. Uh, the This one we call ours, which is just coming out. It's still warm. You can feel it. I'm told. Won the 2023 Blue Lynx Prize. And before that, the Little Office of the Immaculate Conception won the Saturnalia Books Poetry Prize and was also a finalist for the Washington State Book Award. I thought it should have won that year. I'm just saying, but you know, that was another big dust up. So we don't have to go back over that. And with Kelly Agadon, she co-wrote a book called The Daily Poet, day by day prompts for your writing practice. While I've got you here on my screen, I want to show you, I did a Google search I just typed in Martha Solano in the search bar at terrain.org. And you can see very clearly that Martha is one of our, oh, there's a two? Are you kidding me? Martha is one of our favorite poets going way back. And what that means is that the poetry editor before me loved her work. The poetry editor after me loved her work. And this poetry editor, me, this guy, loves her work. And I'm told we're kind of hard asses. We're hard to get into. So I think that's really saying something. Oh, look, we nominated her for a pushcart. She's every book that we edit, apparently she has to be in. She's in Dear America. She's also a star in the Cascadia Field Guide. And so this is, oh, hey, what happened there? Sorry. It's Drew Lanham trying to take over the show. Okay. What we're going to do is, as we are gathered here tonight to celebrate this special person, Martha Solano, I think many or most of us are fortunate enough to know her. We've got this marvelous, oh, what's the collective noun? A plume of poets who are here to read. Each of us are going to read one poem from her new book, this one we call ours. And I'm going to get us started with one of those poems. But before I do that, I want to just say, and everybody may say one thing they love about Martha, or something like that. And you be thinking about that too, because if we have some Q&A time, I don't know, I don't really want any questions. I just want to hear what is it that you love about Martha? So I've got to confess that I love how wildness lives in her poems, and how her smile is written, how sweetness is written in her smile. I mean, my God, look at that smile. Are you kidding me? Like, I want that for my book jacket photo thingy. Okay, so that's what I love about Martha. Wildness in her poems, the sweetness in her smile, and look at this. I want to read, look at this. And she wrote this poem. And this is, okay, this is maybe a question we can ask her later. I'm trying to remember. I think maybe Martha wrote the poem first, and then her daughter Ruby illustrated it. But I could be wrong. It could be an ekphrastic poem. So we might have to ask that. But look at her daughter Ruby's. This is a combined effort here. Oh, there's that sweet smile. Oh, yeah, you can see where she gets it. Ruby and Martha. And these just charmed us when they came in through the submission window. So with that, I'm going to read My Daughter is Drawn to Blue Flax by Martha Solano. Because its tall, airy stems bend toward the light, because it overtakes hillsides scorched by wildfires, because the flowers you see in the morning are replaced by new ones by the next, because if you plant it in your garden, butterflies will come, because a farmer in Pasco who planted 80 acres said his field resembles a blue lake, because flax is not simply a pretty flower, but can be woven into baskets, because the seeds can be ground into grain pressed into oil that soothes and calms. Because 30,000 years ago, cave dwellers dyed, spun, and braided its fibers into snares and seines, rope and string. Because linen shares a root with lineage. Because it's 3 times stronger than cotton. Because every fiber of her waves in the same breeze. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, this media is being transcribed. Great. All right, now I've got to get out of sharing. Oh, thank you. Simmons, I see you. Oh, stop share. There we go. And someone is going after me here. Let's go back and see our list here. Heidi, I think.
Yeah.
Heidi, yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Heidi Seaborn, and it's the middle of the night here in Paris, but I'm here for Martha Solano and her magnificent book. I'm going to read the prefatory poem, which is so classic, Solano, because it's going to make you think. You're going to learn. You always learn something in Marty's poems, and you're going to laugh and you're going to cry, sometimes all at once. So let's get this thing started. What they said. What they said, that they'd studied 4% of the sky, that there's this thing called the ionosphere, that it's like looking at the sky from the bottom of a swimming pool, that they were counting black holes with instruments 10 times better than before, plus algorithms, plus all these words I didn't understand. But 4% of the sky. But in that narrow band to the north, they found 25,000, which means in the remaining 96%, there could be close to 500,000 more. And that's what they plan to do. Count every black hole in the sky. Count every event horizon, every instance of swirling, infinite blackness, of the place of no return, of the sucking power no Dyson has ever known, the place of spaghetti vacation. The who knew there were so many, the who knew they were visible to us. Not just one, but 25,000, each in a galaxy like our own, substantial, giant-armed, born of what spilled from Hera's breast when she realized she was nursing another woman's child, the baby Hercules, with its 100,000 million stars, with its 100 billion planets, with its one planet, with one ocean, this one we float on, this one we call ours. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tina Schumann. I'm going next. And I did have my poem marked, and now I have to find it again. What I want to say about Martha is, lo, those many years ago when I picked up a book called Blue Positive, and I started reading, of course, what I loved first was the humor and the wink to the reader that you're in on something with her and you get it and she knows you get it. There's nothing like a poet who invites you into a poem. And I still love that about Martha. I'm going to tell a really quick story. Sorry, Derek, I'll make it quick. Before Martha and I were in a workshop together for a couple of years with Heidi and Jed, um, I got an email from Martha because we occasionally spoke and saw each other and kibitzed. And it said, in the subject line, it said TWA, TWA, exclamation mark. And it was early in the morning. And I'm like, that airline went out of business years ago. And I started reading the email, and she was telling me that I had a poem on the Writer's Almanac. And that's just an example of how sweet Martha is and how generous and how thoughtful she is about other people's work. Um, Thank you, my friend. I love you. This poem's called What Can I Tell You? That you don't already know. Maybe that our earth has a voice you can only hear if you put your ear close to the bottom of the ocean. Really, physicists call it a hum, an exceedingly quiet symphony, a ceaseless rumble, like taking a piano, slamming all the keys at once. Sorry, slamming all the keys at the same time. Though dang, it's completely imperceptible to the human ear. Audible only to seismometers, if you must know. So here we are, rotating, revolving, speeding not only through the cosmos at 1,000 miles an hour, but running a red light at 23rd and Pacific, late to some appointment, eye, ear, nose, throat, speeding towards a solution for our creaky knees, sore hips, our agony or ennui. To have our nails trimmed, painted electric geometric, to meet a friend for a drink, but first a hug, but first a lot of hellos, a lot of we should do this more oftens, of how did you find this place? And should we have the old fashioned or the Paloma Rustica? All the while our planet singing its little seismic song, a ditty, like my phone alarm on endless repeat. Can you hear the drums, Fernando? You were humming to yourself. Thank you.
And I'm Barb.
How's it going?
Good. Okay. I'm Barbara Crooker, and I'm the next reader. I met Martha about 25 years ago at an artist colony called the Virginia Center for the Creative Arts. I figure it was about 25 years ago because she was pregnant with Riley then. And I fell in love with her and her work. And I'm just so happy our friendship has continued over these years, even though we're at opposite ends of the country. I love the same things about her work that everyone else has pointed out, and especially what she's saying about this one small planet that we live on. My tiny story is that we almost always met up at AWP. When it was in Seattle, she said, well, let's meet at the Starbucks near the hotel. And I live in rural Pennsylvania, where going to a Starbucks is a 30-minute journey. But I thought, okay, sure, the Starbucks near the hotel. Well, who knew there were 3 of them? But we did finally find each other. I'm going to read Letter to a Dead Mother. Thinking of you as I pick up flecks of oats from the kitchen floor, put them back in the container. You know, the 5-second rule. The floor shakes as the washing machine clicks to spin, and I consider how many loads of laundry, how many times you got down on your knees to mop a floor. When you left, you took nothing. We were your couldn't children, and you seemed fine with that, especially toward the end, swallowing your come see me's like brambles, like bees. Kept your dying angels, your breaking wave headlines to yourself. If you could have had a last meal, if you'd made it past the hallway to the kitchen that morning, you took your last bath, I bet you would have chosen leftovers. A soggy cup of salad greens, the barley soup you combined with the lentils from a few days before. Wherever you are, I hope there's plenty of legal pads, though maybe you're writing your 15-page letters with clouds, writing them onto the sky. And I hope they have books, long ones by Dostoevsky, a good saga, 6 generations, that it's never quiet where you are, that there's always someone to share the joke about having 105 offspring and not one of them comes to visit. When a comet shows up without warning, I think of texting you. I saw it above the Columbia Tower, yelled down to the kids, but it was just me and this chunk of debris. Tonight, in your honor, it's chicken soup with dumplings, the way your mother taught me. Egg, flour, little salt, just enough water so the dough is sticky, not too dry. plop them into boiling water until they float like an unanchored vessel on a lake with no shore. I love you, Martha.
That was wonderful, Barbara. Thank you. Hi, I'm Kelly Russell Agadon, and hey, Marty. I met Marty in like 2001 doing a reading for Poets for Peace after September 11th. We were raising money at Elliott Bay Books. But what I love about Marty, besides our 20 plus year friendship and her easy laugh, is how dedicated she is as a poet, her playfulness in poems, her surrealism, and her desire and focus to write these amazing poems and put them in our world. She's absolutely the poet I aspire to be. I just love her. And also, I'm in Paros, Greece, and I was so afraid I was going to miss this reading. I actually dreamt about it before it happened. And in my reading, Heidi arrived late with a dog with a broken leg, and his name was Lucky. So that's where I am right now. And I'm reading a poem from Marty's new book, which I'm honored to read. It's called When We Say It's the Little Things. When we say it's the little things, we really do mean it. A friend announcing at the end of a long phone call in which she shares her love of the red shoes and Moulin Rouge. I love you. How good that feels when you wake in the middle of the night. That worth of that unexpected gesture, like a lover who cleans out the dishwasher filter without being asked. It's the taste of that first sip of coffee, rich and strong, the Mr. Coffee cup warmer on your desk. It's having the right pen. It's a full water bottle, a piece of orange cranberry bread, warm and moist, crunchy with walnuts. We also love the big things like Fatu and Najin, the last two white rhinos, a mother and her daughter. You can watch them on YouTube, snorkeling in the Kenyan dust, the calming hum of insects all around them, which is more of the little things, because mostly it's those, the insects outweighing the human bulk 17 times, bush crickets and pill bugs, botflies and army ants that, when the time comes, will make quick work of our little and big bodies, our veined and ventricle hearts. Love you, Marty. See you soon.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Hi, Judd. We hear you.
Okay. Anyway, hello. I'm going to read a poem of Marty's. I'm Jed Myers, and uh, I've known Martha's work a long time. I've run into her over the years as a fellow Seattleite, but I've really gotten to know her in recent years in this small poetry group. And what the love is, it's not just the poetry, it's the whatever that is, her heart and soul, that is the source of the poetry, and that incredibly brave insistence on loving the world and loving the world even through the grief and the loss and the shock and the horror. She just keeps, like, there's a deep commitment to loving that I admire and aspire to. So thank you for that, Martha. This poem is called I Love the World. But now I know a mother can work in her garden for 10 hours, not know it's her last day alive, Now I know no one's there to deadhead the zinnias and the feverfew, even though the world is filled with injured geese and gulls, millions of acres of smoldering trees. I still love cantaloupe, how it sits on the kitchen counter, waiting for my spoon to scoop its firm and juicy flesh. Even after I saw a photo of my mother's casket draped with grandmother's quilt, I still loved hearing about the field of white daisies down the road from her grave. The world is both the wheat plowed under to make way for strip malls and a sunset like spilled orange juice above a gray lake. Joy resides in the mountains of styrofoam and Ziplocs, while sorrow suffuses my mother's backyard, its cardinals and finches, its hummingbird perched in a plum tree that lost all its branches in a terrible storm. Thank you. Thank you, Martha.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Broach, and I'll be reading Marty's Abecedarian at the Bottom of the World. But first, I want to say, Marty, I want to thank you for your friendship, generousness, your infectious curiosity. You have a beautiful way of weaving elements of cosmic creation, the evolution of all flora and fauna, and us like an amazing and colorful salad. At the bottom of the world. At the bottom of the world, 2 miles below sea level, tube worms boggle scientists. Clustered near hydrothermal vents, thriving on deadly hydrogen sulfide. Here, too, the vampire fish, echinoderms, giant isopods that won't ever feel the sun's heat on their pill buggy backs. The glow gulls need at least a glimpse of, so they can hassle a minnow from a pelican's pouch. It's a great place to contemplate Jesus and his myriad miracles, walking on water, kersplatting the need for crutches, sidling up with long-nosed chimeras, one swish of a dorsal fin fatal. Michelangelo would feel at home here, for no one who's seen a coffin fish doubts God opened his palm, pointed a finger, appointed Adam, creature of shame, creature of questions more luminous than any star. Remember when we looked to the heavens, saw only the campfires of not so distant neighbors? Today it's HD 179949 and Gliese 581d. Unimaginably distant constellations and dwarfs, orbs vying for habitability. Down here, it's hardly less showy, where lanthanum and neodymium bubble from mud holes, where xenon nestles in deep sea basalt. Bless it all, and bless us too, young and old, bizarre and undeserving, all zapped with the mystery of the sacred. Thank you, Marty. Love you.
Thanks, Rhonda. There's no one like Martha Solano to make you appreciate a word like mud hole, right? Yes, I mean, I'll agree with everyone else. An amazing friend, longtime poetry friend, and there's nothing like a Martha Solano poem for completely exploding any sense of time from, beyond the Big Bang to right now to yesterday to childhood to it's all this one thing that you go back and forth inside. Plus, it's a huge consonant and vowel festival in here. So yeah, I'm lucky this arrived. I'm reading 200 million years ago. This was all a sea floor, partly because it's all about wine, but of course it's about everything else also. 200 million years ago, this was all a sea floor, says the vineyard owner in the Dundee Hills. He says he switched from tequila to wine because each time his father borrowed his Ford Bronco, he paid him back with Riesling. The Natasha block is named for his oldest daughter. There you'll find the Pinot Reserve. Aspen rules the Cuvée, Jordan the Chardonnay. He moved up from San Bernardino for the cooler summers, the coastal mountains, but now he says they need to irrigate. Now the summers stretch out and out in a series of 116-degree days. We come bearing not so much a thirst as a need for a buzz. Stories about the knock-kneed vines planted 30 years ago when we were knocking knees in a booth at a pub where we first met. The owner shuffles toward a couple sipping the old block pomard, its garnet charm, his hands trembling like his grape leaves in the early afternoon breeze. Last week, we were in our 20s, wandering a forest, learning to distinguish penstemon from lupin, digging out a knife from a day pack to harvest chicken of the woods from the trunk of a western hemlock. The soils of sandstone, less and loam make for a flinty forward, say the tasting notes. Sandstone from the ocean, less from the glaciers, loam from the 36 times this valley flooded when a melting glacier unblocked a massive lake. Spans of time difficult for a human brain as we wander down the rows of new plantings, black hoses, parched dirt. Love you, Martha.
Hi, I'm Tina Kelly, and I think it's really unfair that you all said we could only list one thing that we love about Martha. For me, I think it's her generosity, even when it comes down to suggestions about places to submit to. She has a tremendous energy, one of the hardest working poets in showbiz. So I could go on, but I'm not allowed to. I'm going to read Why I Love My Garden in My Front Yard with gratitude to Ross Gay. Because I was picking jalapenos, but now I'm biting into one of Yoshi's figs. Because she's holding a silver bowl heavy with dozens, saying, take. Because I'm biting into my first fresh fig, stopping mid-bite, eyeing the small white strands that might be writhing. Because they are not maggots, because I am savoring, along with sweet flesh, the sun, air, and sky. Yoshi in her white capris, her big straw hat. Because Eddie smothered our Kentucky blue parking strip with dirt, built 3 raised beds, so where we used to mow were growing pumpkins, stalks thick as jacks, 6 green fuzzy fruits, because honeybees found their way into each starry bloom, because my husband can't keep pace with the fecundity, put up 15 pints of dilly beans, because the tomato plants are so heavy with fruit, the cages have given way, cannot be righted, because the snails have finally given up on making fine lace of our kale. And though the beets did not produce, their tops added zing to the stir fry. Because when I posted about it on Facebook, several friends warned us we'd be robbed. That as of this date, not a single serrano, eggplant, or carrot has been pilfered. Because a neighbor stopped by to chat, said squash blossoms are a delicacy, showed me how to dip them in a mixture of beer and flour, fry them in oil, because we're biting into sunshine. Love you, Marty.
Please. Thank you, host. I couldn't unmute it myself. At your orders, I could. As soon as I was invited to this, I knew which poem I had to read. It was the one that made me write a fan letter to Marty 25 years ago. It's also the only poem that's ever made me cook as soon as I got home. Unfortunately, it's not in the book, but I was given a dispensation so that my love for Marty, being caught up in a meteor's tail and a comet's tail, this is the woman who actually can teach you to enjoy AWP. So thanks for the dispensation, Derek. The Sausage Parade. When the Roman Empire, like an overcooked kielbasa, began to shrivel up, Christians made them illegal. Pepperoni, calabrese, sanguinaccio. From speakeasy kitchens, butter, lard, and onion hissed. Holsteiner, Genoa, Cervelat's. 20 centuries later, the high production pickle injector ensures a steady supply. Preskov, Bigatelli, Jägerwurst. Could it be their names? That each must form to its casing? Whose nose hasn't longed for the scent of fennel and pork? Who can say sausage isn't onomatopoeic? Cook them slowly, dishes of the world insists, to keep them from bursting. Prick. Robert was my first. Red pepper, pimento pinch, chorizo di lomo. Taught me sizzle, avoidance of smokehouse shrink. Never would I settle for less. Byron Spear, oatmeal, vinegar, thyme. Love to go shirtless, March to November. Skin, silken gravy, oven baked. Chuck a drisheen. Running ox, tansy tinged, 2 parts blood to 1 part cream. Helmet, all hands in the pot, simmering shallots, 6-2-220. Sweetness soaked, lawyer by day, Braunschweiger by night. Dylan a Rotwurst, a keeping sausage, sage, chestnut, puree, lemon, muscadet, would have kept and kept. The man I love doesn't love my breadcrumb-soaked, sputtering pork and chipolata past. Salsiccia, budini, zamponi. But the past is long as Italy's boot. It is made of leeks, red wine, crushed garlic, whole peppercorns. There is plenty of room at the table. Sorry, Lang. No, I can't get it to go off.
Hi, I'm Barbara Unger. I'm so honored and thrilled to be here. And I second what everybody has said about what they love about Martha. And if I had to pick one thing, I would say her expansiveness. She has such a huge heart and open mind. It makes me think of Dickinson's term circumference. She's able to get everything into the poem. And the poem that I picked shows that. She gets the entire universe into this poem. Don't worry, it's only a page long, a little bit longer than one page. Had I known I was going last, I might have picked something from the end, but it's the first poem in the book after the one that Heidi read. And it comes right after this epigraph from Joy Harjo, which is praise beginnings, praise the end, which is exactly what this poem does. It's called Once. Once, before this lake turned the color of ripened cherries, before there was a word for weapon or distance or phone, a star finished up its nucleosynthesis, exploded its hydrogen, helium, neon, and nitrogen, its sulfur and iron all over Cosmos Town. No one was around, no one with vision or a craving for lemons. All there was, stars and exploding stars seeding the universe with magnesium and carbon, with graphite and diamonds. All this and what all else collected into a pomegranatic bulge that became our sun, that became the rocky planets and the gaseous ones, that became the generous light through the pines, us and our armpit glands, us and our mother, may I? No, you may not. This was how it began, before it cooled enough for worms and flukes, way cooler than that instant when everything that would ever be became. Though it would be a while before figs and plumage, raindrops and touch. But soon we had gnawing, and soon we had fathers, falling water and falling in love. Before long, there was work and there was wine. Observances like the Feast of Assumption. Soon after, there was rot and grief. But before that, electrons and quarks, protons and neutrons. Somehow we got hummingbirds and pavement, dorsal fins and cilantro. Somehow anger and shame and faith. Now we are a place for lace and egrets. Now we have mouthwash and redwoods. It's sweet like a good pear, sour like probiotic yogurt. It began, and it seems like a novel by Tolstoy, like it will never end. But one day, zip zap, zap zip, the sun will supernova, and we will give back our copper and plutonium, our aluminum and titanium. The calcium in our bones will contract into dimensionless singularity, along with all our shiny silver fillings, our stalks of wheat, our shocks of turquoise hair. I love you, and Star says hi too.
Thank you, Barbara. Wow, what a joy to hear all of Marty's words and your beautiful voices. We almost had another amazing thing kind of happened, or almost happened. My high school poetry teacher reached out to me when he heard about this event, and he said, "Hey, I know her high school poetry teacher." And so we almost had him here tonight, her high school poetry teacher, Ramon, Mr. Ramon.
Ramon.
Eddie, Eddie,
fun.
Eddie loves you. So he's reading the new book, totally digging it. He was like the tech. I think that the tech was a little confusing. So, but I don't know. It was really cool to hear from him and have that connection. Martha, I guess we do have one question for you. Your
I'll do my
poem,
best.
your
Go ahead.
collaboration with Ruby.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she drew that, and I had to do my best. It took, you guys rejected it, and I had to rewrite it like 3 times. So,
Don't tell him. Don't tell him that.
Damn.
It's supposed to be easy.
No, it wasn't. That was, and Jed and Heidi and Tina helped me finish that poem in our Swifters group. So thanks to them, it got taken.
Boom.
Yeah, so
And now our daughter uses it on her resume. She's got her published art.
Yeah, she was at her orientation at Bennington when it went live, which kind of gave her a little boost. So that was really nice.
Well, we're so grateful to have both of those poems in Ruby's drawings. It's really special, and appreciate your tribe there who helped it get it past the finish line. You know, I was all for it. It was, I have to say, it was Simmons. He's the hard ass. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Yeah, they are the ones who go in there, fix one word in that line and one word, and it works like a charm. I would bring my almost done and they would finish them. So, yeah, my group, they were amazing. So, yeah, that was the last critique group I was in. I hadn't been in one in years. I did mostly generative, but I was reluctant, but man, I forgot how good it is to be in a critique group.
Come back.
Yeah, Swifters, Swift Kick.
Can I tell the story of how we came to that name?
Yeah.
I sent an email to Martha and Jed and Heidi and said I was looking to form a group, and I didn't know if I needed cooperation or inspiration or just a swift kick in the ass. And Martha said, "That's the name. We're the Swifties now."
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That was great.
Good stuff.
Yeah. The real Swifties.
I don't know if you've noticed, Martha, but there are many really sweet comments about you and your work. Yeah.
I hope I love to. I've seen them pop up.
We'll catch them. We can capture them. Yeah, there's a way we can capture them all and make sure we get them to you.
I know you can save the chat. Please do. I'd love to read them all. It'll give me sustenance for the next few days while I'm resting all day. Nobody had any other questions? I'm running voice, but
or a statement about what you love about Martha.
Oh, I'm just so blown away by this. I can't say enough thanks. It's really great because you can hear what's happening to me.
How many years of work in this book, Martha? How many years would you say?
I started in 2019 at Playa out there in Summer Lake, and I had this idea the book would be totally negative, and they instilled that there was some hope left. But I still think I err on the side of doom. As my husband was editing it, he said, "Man,
this is a sledgehammer, but I tried to get in some joy and humor, especially
sledgehammer with love. Love
There you
letters.
go.
in the last
Velvet sledgehammer.
and everything ends was written. I had a Thursday night group for over a year with Kelly Agadon and Rhonda Broach, and we would each bring an exercise. And so many of these poems came from those COVID years. So I owe them a huge debt. We would write, and then every week we got 3 poems. And I just kept revising and revising. And I just didn't know about this book, putting in the poems about my parents. I didn't know if it worked. So I had a lot of poems after my parents died, but I chose the ones that were naturey, not mean and nasty. And that seemed to work. Or really grieving. Although when I hear them read, I want to cry. But anyway, it's a little window.
Well, yeah, clearly it did work because it won the prize.
Yeah, I was kind of fielding all these hospital calls from neurologists that day. And suddenly it was Chris Howell. I said, what the? Why are you calling me? There's only one reason why you be calling me. He goes, you won. And I, of course, cried so much, which I always do. And like I said, I should apologize for my effusive joy of tears, which is my shtick. But he was okay with that. He got it. I didn't expect to ever win. I never do. And so it was a huge relief to finally it's done. I've never had a hardcover. So I was happy to be back in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest series after being not I don't know, it was that was special. And Linda Beards was my teacher, my first graduate school teacher at UW. So that kind of felt like appropriate full circle. Yeah, so that was nice.
Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. That's I'm not going to soon forget that one. Yeah, we're so I do need to tell you we almost cracked 200 tonight. We got very close. We were just I think 180 was our top. So that might be a record. I think that beat Jericho Brown, didn't it, Simmons? Yeah, yeah. So
Well, I know
boom,
it's just
boom.
the reason why everyone's here. So I especially appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I think they're here because, well, I mean, let me show you why. This is for you, Martha. We love you.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Okay, all. I think that's maybe a good note. Oh, that hurt, Derek. Sorry, Dan. Yeah, send her a hug. Send her some good energy. Send her some love. Let's all do it. Yeah. Oh, I love those hugs. Yeah. Oh, look at that. There's hearts, there's hugs. Ooh, ooh. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Thanks,
we love
Derek.
you.
Thanks for
We love
hosting.
you, Marty. Yep. Yep. Our pleasure. Thank you all for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for reading and coming out. I so appreciate it.